following is intended only for mature audiences.
Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann. And the West is thirsty. No, they don't want to get it on. They're not looking for some aubergine, aka eggplant. No, they need more water due to years of severe droughts that are the result of climate change, and they're looking at the Midwest to help them. And it sounds like, if you go by most of the comments on the internet, the West can go fuck themselves. Who are we talking about when I say the West? The Western United States. Basically parts of 13 states, including California, Texas, Arizona, Idaho, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Nebraska, and to a lesser extent, Washington, Wyoming, and New Mexico, are all drought-stricken, heavy on usage due to dense populations, and in the driest parts of the country. But it's like a lifestyle of water waste on extravagant things out there. So like golf courses and water parks and giant pools and massive car wash buildings and wineries. But in all honesty, a majority of the water usage in California especially, for example, is used for agriculture. You know, food. So we kind of need food, right? And they've enacted massive conservation and restriction efforts in the last few years, and that's saved billions of gallons of water from being wasted on these green grasses. But, you know, then you have people like Dwayne Wade, NBA player, and his wife, Gabrielle Union, who I don't know what the fuck she's famous for other than being famous and taking that NBA $1 million dick of his. They got busted for exceeding their monthly water budget by 489,000 gallons in the month of May. So we have a lot of people like that, because California especially, I'm going to keep name dropping that state and really nailing them to the proverbial cross, because they're the worst offenders, really. There's so many fucking famous people there, and they don't give a shit. And, like, you got your Kim and Kourtney Kardashian, and your Sylvester Stallone, and Kevin Hart, also all have been busted for overusing water supplies to keep their lawns and gardens green. Like Stallone, he's like, well, I have fruit trees. I gotta have fruit trees. If I don't have them, then I won't have fruit. Except that you can just like go to the store and buy fruit. So there might be some legitimacy to Rocky Balboa's brain damage from the movies, bleeding in real life from all those real punches he fucking took from Dolph Lundgren playing Ivan Drago to make it look more real. Yeah, and Kevin Hart, why does such a small man need so much water? That motherfucker is small enough to take a rag on a stick and wash himself with a bucket of water. That's all he needs. The Kardashians, I get it. They're self-absorbed media cunts. All right, but again, famous people overusing water. There's tons of homeless people around there that I'm sure need something to drink other than, you know, alcohol that they buy with loose change or each other's cum, which gives them enough protein to stay strong enough to make it another day, to then have the energy to suck somebody off again to keep going for another day. And it's just ridiculous because all these rich fuckers are using more than they are allowed because they think that they deserve to have lush lawns and bountiful fruit trees. And I just picture some rich, famous asshole thinking, I gotta have a lawn that looks good enough to post to Instagram in 4K so everyone can clout chase on my sweet hedge maze. Right? Pretty much. I've seen some of their fucking lawns with the statues and the pristine fucking landscaping and the bushes that are shaped like animals and such. It's fucking ridiculous. We don't need that. And you don't need that either just because you're rich. And then let's go to some of the, you know, frivolous amenities that are causing all of this strain and wastefulness. And I mentioned water parks. They're fun, and a great many of them will recycle the water that is also 50% urine on average, so you just keep reusing it. So that's okay, I guess, but still kind of wasteful, but you want those tourist dollars. Which then leads me to golf, and there are so many major golf courses in fucking California and Arizona. It's just like, is there a bigger waste of resources in terms of space per capita, of watering grass for no good fucking reason other than rich assholes hitting a tiny little ball across it? Like, how fucking stupid is golf? They act like it's this super important sport that generates all this money. For what? Rich assholes that learn how to play this rich asshole game. And then you've got, you know, the bourgeoisie, the proletariat assholes that want to emulate that shit. And let's just call it what it is. golf's an excuse to hang with your buddies and get shit-faced, right? So can't we just, like, build some place that isn't an actual golf course? It's just a building you go to, and there's virtual holes. It's like laser tag, and then you simulate golf, and you can just get shit-faced there. It's like a bar with fucking putting greens, and then we won't need all these golf courses. You could use all the land for the golf courses and build like giant high-rise apartment buildings for the homeless people. And all that water you'd use on keeping the grass green and perfect, you could use to bathe them and give them something to drink. And then again, maybe they get themselves going and they get a job and they rise above their station. And it's kind of funny because for years the motto was brown is the new green, was part of their conservation effort in parts of the country over there. But apparently they're not doing it enough because they're still using water in a record capacity compared to how fast they can get it. Pump systems or snow melt if they're near mountain regions or lakes and rivers. But again, brown is the new green, which means you don't water your lawn. And apparently not enough people are adhering to this. But really, stop fucking watering your grass so much. I don't water my lawn. And at times the past 5 years, it's been brown and crunchy by like mid-July. It's gone basically dormant by then. And I just don't care about having a nice lawn. I mean, I will say this right out the gate. Some of these people don't have a choice because they live under the watchful eye of an HOA. And I'll just fucking say this right now. Fuck every homeowners association known to man. They're worthless. It's just a power grab. And they want money for stupid reasons to pay themselves to act like they're fucking important when they don't have any reason to feel important because their lives are shit. But they're forcing people to keep these pristine lawns. And it sickens me to my stomach. Now, for those who don't have an HOA but have perfect lawns, what the fuck? Why do you need such a lush green lawn? Ain't nobody coming to take pictures of your shit to put on the cover of Better Homes and Gardens. Why do you have to waste so much potable water? Because the only people I see with perfect lawns around these parts here in Minnesota are retired old men with nothing left to live for, basically. They just constantly are mowing and watering and weeding and fertilizing. Oh, my lawn, it's so pretty. Like, why do you need such a nice lawn? And this goes for anybody. Why do you need it? For what? Personal pride? For curb appeal? It's just visual standard that doesn't need to exist. Because nobody's eating that fucking grass, dude. Cattle aren't grazing on that shit because it's residential. It's just for ego. And the water you waste keeping it so pretty, like I said, can be used to quench the thirst of and also bathe the homeless, who then might look and smell good enough to get jobs and then move into a domicile of some sort. If you're going to water your lawn every day, invite the local homeless population to come run around in that shit and kill two birds with one stone. Now back to the overall problem, and enough with the laughs here. There is debate heightening as states that are relying on like the Colorado River, they're proposing cuts in water use for next year to keep Lakes Powell and Meade from reaching critically low levels. Points at which the Glen Canyon Dam would then stop generating hydropower. Whoops! Because right now, the Bureau of Reclamation, it pegs it at nearly a 1 in 4 chance that Lake Powell's not going to generate power in the summer of 2024. So that's a problem for everybody relying on that grid. And like Lake Mead, if you just do some Googling, is so historically low, they're finding all kinds of junk and dead bodies and other weird shit as the water recedes. So how do they want to fix this? And it's the whole point of the episode. They're proposing that they could get water from the Midwest by building some sort of pipeline infrastructure to pump water from the lower Mississippi all the way to some of these states at the cost of billions for hundreds of miles of feeder tubes. And some of these projects were proposed years ago and thought they would take 30 years to complete. Well, we don't have 30 years. It's too fucking late. And the people in the Midwest that hear this, they all think it's their portion of the Mississippi. It's technically not. They're trying to get it from areas around Louisiana and Mississippi that are prone to flooding, which is a good idea to pump water out of there. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Back in 2005, when Hurricane Katrina hit, I had this idea. I'm like, why doesn't the Army Corps of Engineers just build like a Godzilla-size wet dry vac Megazord thing to help fix this? And then they can pump that water to the west and then keep it on reserve for future forest fires and drought issues and everything they need them for. And then I doubled down on this idea when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston 5 years ago. Now, I don't know how easy it is to build a giant fighting robot that's also a water vac Kind of like if you take the movie Pacific Rim and then mix it with any run-of-the-mill Home Depot shop vac, and then you just suck the water out of the flooded areas, and then you transport it to the West. And then they use that to sustain them, right? You're fixing two problems at once. And maybe it seems like I watch too much Bill Nye to just come up with some armchair Army Corps of engineers scientific shit to fix this, but I don't know, man. It's just what my brain thunk. And it's not all that different than what they're proposing, other than that there's no cool-ass robot that's made out of dinosaurs or like a Voltron with 5 lions, you know? So some people think that the best solution is to build multiple desalination plants on the West Coast and then use reverse osmosis to convert ocean water into potable drinking water and for bathing and whatnot. And that process could work. However, it uses an abundance of electricity. So then you'd have another energy crisis on your hands, as they already have overstressed power grids out there with rolling brownouts and shit. It's just a fucking mess, is what it is. And now what you've got is people that need asking for help from their fellow compatriots of the same country who are like, no, you fucking made this problem. So it's like a stalemate of people arguing over who owns what, and the West might be getting what they deserve and blah, blah, blah. But here's the real issue. Overpopulation. Too many fucking people requiring homes with water and food to eat and electricity to power their lives. COVID definitely needed to kill like 12 million people more to balance out the war that man-made pollution has wreaked on the environment. And California is by far the worst. The population density and resources needed to supply them, plus put out all the forest fires that seem to spring up and burn like crazy every year. Something's got to be done firsthand, man-made involvement to fix this overpopulation problem. And I think to fix this, we just get rid of the annoying tofu liberals for the future sustainability of the rest of us. And then maybe we could just do like a relocation effort. So take like in other parts of the country where there's a lot of criminals and morbidly obese people and really stupid people, Bible thumpers, and just fucking get rid of them. Just execute those motherfuckers, Hunger Games style. We just get rid of them for the betterment of all of us. And then the people in the West could move to their homes in the other areas of the country where they lived and their neighborhoods. Like South Chicago's a shithole now, right? But if we purge the gang members and violent criminals, you've got miles of homes to take over, and they have seasons. So yeah, we just get rid of a bunch of shitty people, and then we take the decent people in the West, and we just, redistribute them amongst the country. And it kind of balances out. Seriously, the answer to most problems facing this nation, including this one, is fewer people. Hunger, homelessness, addiction, traffic, pollution, crime, healthcare costs, teacher shortages, Netflix, the list goes on and on. So if we start killing the most useless and deplorable members of society, there will be less need for all this water, and then things will balance themselves out. I know it sounds cool to come up with the shop vac Megazord thing, but the feasibility of it is fucking ridiculous. It's like something an 8-year-old would think of, and I thought this shit up when I was an adult, in my 20s. And then also the desalination plant thing, it could work and it would create jobs, but still, fewer people would be nice, right? So if you want to do that, knock yourself out. But I really think the best answer for all of this is just fewer people, and maybe we just get rid of Las Vegas altogether. We bomb that shit, and so fucking what? Suck it. We don't need all these people going there to exchange diseases and win money, because it's just a waste of water. I mean, think of how much water you would save by not having those fucking fountains. You can make sports fans happy by sending the Raiders back to Oakland, and then you can take the Vegas Knights hockey team. You can send them to like Hamilton, Ontario, or Quebec could have a team again, or like to Houston like they've talked about. And then all these entertainers that are taking up residency in Vegas, fucking revitalize Atlantic City. It's on the East Coast, and they have seasons. See, I just fixed another fucking problem. This is incredible. So we kill the people, we get rid of Las Vegas, we don't build any more desert cities. Old men across the country stop fucking jerking off, looking at their lawns in the morning while they have their AM cup of coffee, and we all just get a little bit better, little by little, by having fewer people and shittier lawns and using less water, and everybody helps out and everybody does their part. It really is an altruistic mindset here. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It. That is at What Do We Call It. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann. And that's the end.